For the first time in nearly 4.5 years, the leaders of South Korea, China and Japan have held a trilateral summit, this time in Seoul, after they last convened just before the outbreak of COVID-19. Of course, there have also been other obstacles, historical and economic disputes high among them, and differing positions on North Korea. With military tensions really spiking between the Koreas this year and Japan also under threat, the North has enjoyed a significant diplomatic and economic buffer in the form of China and Russia, limiting the effectiveness of global sanctions. And despite Pyongyang planning its first satellite launch of 2024 before June 4th, based on its maritime safety warning that emerged Monday, the subject of North Korea was not an official agenda item during this historic meeting in Seoul between South Korean President Yoon-Suk-Yeol, Japanese Prime Minister Fumio-Kishida, and Chinese Premier Li-Qiang. But that didn't stop Yoon from using his opening remarks at the meeting to try to convince the North to abandon its satellite launch plan. He said the international community must respond firmly if North Korea goes ahead with it, while his Japanese counterpart also expressed concern, pointing out that the launch would be a violation of UN Security Council resolutions. During the press conference after the meeting, Yoon also emphasized the importance of both denuclearizing North Korea and seeking a peaceful, unified Korean-Peninsula, even as the North has abandoned its own unification policy in favor of viewing South Korea as not only a separate entity, but also its primary enemy. Yet Lee did not promise China's cooperation at the UN Security Council, rather preferring to focus on the bigger picture, on a world that is being more and more sharply divided into blocs and alliances of like-minded nations. He underscored the need for non-exclusivity and non-discrimination in order to promote trilateral cooperation. That may be seen at least partly as a veiled jab at Seoul and Tokyo's close ties with the United States, the fruits of which have in the past provoked Chinese economic attacks on South Korea. But despite those ties with the US, which have strengthened at the same time as Beijing's relationship with Washington soured, China remains a significant trading partner of both South Korea and Japan. Economy and trade was one of 6 areas discussed to encourage cooperation along with sustainable development, health issues, science and technology, disaster and safety management, and people-to-people exchanges. The leaders adopted a joint statement which signalled their will to work together to achieve regional peace and prosperity. Also based on their comments after the meeting, they decided to create a transparent and predictable investment environment, work on supply chain security, and cooperate on environmental issues. It seems there will also be a strong focus on culture, as they agree to designate next year and the one after as years of cultural exchange between South Korea, Japan, and China. And we might add that their trilateral meeting built on the previous day's bilateral talks when Yoon and Lee agreed to establish a diplomatic security dialogue and resume negotiations to upgrade their country's free trade agreement. There was also progress with Kishida. In particular, he and Yoon agreed to closely communicate to prevent strained ties over a feud centered on control of the Japanese operator of the popular Line messaging app, which is a 50-50 joint venture between South Korea's Naver and Japan's SoftBank. Going forward, a mix of one-on-one and three-way talks may be able to relieve tensions in a range of areas, perhaps even on the North Korea front too.